What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I just want to take a moment here to address something. I made a terrible mistake in my last video. I tried to do math on video. It was a really bad idea. I added an extra zero in, and when I was counting the amount of illegals that were going to come in, I said 5,000 a day, and I quickly did the math in my head on camera. Big mistake. And I added an extra zero, and I said it was 300,000 a week, and that was wrong. It's 30,000 or 35,000 technically. And I just want to take a moment to thank my wonderful commenters. For one thing, that was a good ways into the video, so that's how I know you guys are paying attention to the video and you're sticking with it and hearing out my entire thought process rather than just, a lot of these people come in, and I can tell when I read the comments, a lot of these people come into the comments and they listen to the first 5 or 10 minutes of the video, and then they ask all these questions that I usually end up addressing later on in the video. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you guys, my audience, my wonderful commenters. I think I have the best audience on YouTube. Of course, I'm biased. I love you guys because you comment on my videos. But anyway, I appreciate it. I appreciate it when you correct me and I can come back and make a correction video like this. But yeah, it was my mistake. I did, what do they call it? Common Core math or something in my head, and I added an extra zero and came up with 350,000 or whatever I said rather than 35,000. But anyway, I wanted to address some of the other comments that came in on my last video talking about the border and the crisis and everything that's going on that Biden has created. And, a lot of people have been pointing to the same thing that I actually, and I'm not saying that I'm the first one that figured this out, but in my last video, not the one I just put up where I made the mistake, but the one before that where I was talking about the border crisis and potential civil war and stuff like that. In that video, I mentioned that I wasn't really sure why Governor Abbott was doing this now. It seemed like it was too little too late. And I kind of hinted around, I didn't really go into depth on it, but I hinted around that there were political motivations behind his move to make this big scene right now. And, right before on an election year where the whole world is having more elections than any time in human history, as far as we know. So several people came into the comments and they were saying that they didn't trust this move by Abbott, and they didn't really understand why it was going on right now, and it seemed politically convenient. And I totally agree with that. Maybe it's just politically to hurt Biden. Who the heck knows? I think he's really trying to make a stand and, and trying to bring attention to it on a national level. And if that's his objective, he's done a fine job. And maybe it's going to get more traction because it is a political year, an election year in 2024. So I don't know. That's possible. I don't know why he's doing it, but I'm suspicious as well, is what I want to say. I'm very suspicious about this whole deal, the whole convoy thing, and having the National Guard and other private citizens come down to Texas. It sounds like a setup to me that could be used, by the same sorts of people that, took the January 6th thing and blew it all out of proportion like they did. So I would be very, very leery if you decide to join in on that convoy or be a part of that group in any way, because it looks like and smells to me like it could be a setup. So anyway, I wanted to address that. Another common thread that 3 or 4 people mentioned in the video comments on the last video was that Governor Greg Abbott is a member, they specifically said, of the WEF. And I was like, wait a minute. I do remember something about that. I do remember hearing that Abbott went and spoke at the WEF. So I looked it up. I did a quick Bing search or whatever search engine, DuckDuckGo or whatever non-Google search engine I'm using these days. I searched it, several different ways, and I couldn't find any proof that Abbott is actually a member of the WEF. Yes, he did speak at the WEF back in 2020. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't watch the speech, so I don't know what he was talking about. But the little excerpts that I did see from some of the stated reasons that he was there was that, and I'll totally agree that anytime I hear the WEF, I automatically think of, Klaus Schwab and, all the dark stuff. You will own nothing and you will be happy. But there's a much bigger picture to the WEF. It's a lot more nuanced than just an evil organization that's trying to rule the world and destroy the world. See, they have all these rich, powerful elites that show up at their conferences every year, and they invite people like Greg Abbott to come and speak because that gives them more power. See, it doesn't matter if they agree with him or not, because back then nobody was talking back against the WEF. I don't know if you guys saw Malay. I mean, he laid the smackdown on the WEF, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was from the Heritage Foundation, and another guy laid the smackdown on the WEF. Just a few, what was it, last week, the week before last when that happened, when they were meeting at Davos. Malay, where's he from? Argentina? Am I right about that? I think he's from Argentina. Anyway, wherever Malay's from, I believe it is Argentina. He went out there and spoke to the WEF and gave like a 30 or 40-minute speech ripping the New World Order to shreds. If you haven't seen it yet, you should really go watch it. If I was more technologically savvy with like using clips, ripping other people's clips, I would show you guys the clip, but I don't really know how to do that very well. The only place I can ever get clips like that for free, that's like hassle-free where I can download them, is band.video. That's the only place where it's like a free-for-all where you can go in there and download, and they encourage you to download and use their clips to get the news out there. But everybody else, you know, there's all these either paywalls or I don't have the technology to actually go and like rip a clip. I tried to do it before, but I don't know why. My computer maybe is too old or something. I don't know what the deal is, but I can't do it. And so I suggest you guys go watch the full speech that's here on YouTube, at least for now, where Malay is like, Afuela, no, we're not doing this. And they, of course, they have a translator and all that. But anyway, I wanted to address those couple of things right there. That, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Texas resident, so I don't, follow Texas politics all that closely. Although they are, they're more well known than a lot of the other state politics around the country. And because they're such a big powerhouse, Texas by itself, arguably is one of the only, maybe Texas and California would probably be a close second, and then Alaska would probably be third, of the states that have so much wealth and so many resources, they could actually make it on their own as a nation. The nation of Texas or whatever, the Lone Star State, they could do it. Texas could do it. So there's been a lot more talk about secession and the secession movement and stuff like this. And, from the perspective of the average everyday Texan, I'm totally on board with that. I support their move. And I'm glad to see 25 other states in the country have backed up Governor Abbott's move. Even if it is too little too late, it's better than nothing. And that's what we have to take it as a victory. And so at least he's doing something, standing up, and again, it feels weird to say the guy's standing up to Biden because he can't, I don't know if he can stand or not, but he's in a wheelchair. He's wheelchair bound, but he's the one right now that's standing up. And if you notice on that map, I'll put it up right here, that map of the 25 states that have joined in support of Texas, there's 2 missing that are border, actually 3 missing that are border states on that map. You got California, Arizona, and New Mexico. None of them are on board because they're all heavily controlled and or influenced by Democrat governors, and there's no way they want to do that. So they don't want to block the border off, see? That blocks off their New World Order agenda. So the last comment I have to address here, I'm going to have to open up my phone right quick and put my anti-communist glasses on and see if I can find this right fast. I should have had it pulled up, but forgive me. Okay. So I want to address a couple of these comments here. Most of them were excellent, as usual. Most of my commenters are excellent. This person said, I can tell you this, I'm wanting to fly a Texas flag out front. Anybody else? And yes, I do want to go get a Texas flag and support them. Even if it's too little too late, that's what we want. This person says, as a Wisconsinite, I stand with Texas. Okay, this was a good one right here. It says, I have lived in Texas for 40 plus years. This invasion is nothing new. Yes, the border should be secure, and it should have been done years ago. All of this border talk is about Abbott is just a distraction. This isn't stopping a single person This isn't stopping a single person from coming across. If you go about a half mile from where the National Guard is securing the border, there are wide open gaps that aren't even manned. They recommend somebody's videos, and if Abbott was serious about it, he would have done this years ago. Don't believe the hype. No one is coming to save you. I certainly agree with that last line, although, again, I would argue, even if it's too little too late, it's better than nothing. And I don't know why or what the motivation is for Abbott doing this now, other than bringing national attention on it. And again, if that's what he's trying to do, he's done a fairly good job. Although you notice the MSM is openly ignoring this, intentionally ignoring this situation and downplaying it. Okay, this is the one I wanted to talk about. The UN and the WEF are completely different projects. They actually fight each other. The UN is much more powerful than the WEF. It's Zionist blank. I can't say that or my video will be banned. It's hard to read these comments. There are some misspellings in here. So he says basically it's the Zionists that control the West versus the Committee of 300 and the Club of Rome that control much of the world. And then he says, your knowledge low on the subject. And then I linked him. I said, before you start casting stones in glass houses, you should read this, WEF UN partnership. And I don't know why this stuff, I have like a photographic memory of this kind of stuff, but it popped into my mind. I was like, wait a minute, no, this guy's a clown. And he's sitting here telling me my knowledge on the world is low when he doesn't even remember that the UN and the WEF actually openly formed a partnership. I mean, you can go, I provided the link right here. You can go to their website and see it for yourself. The UN and the WEF signed a strategic partnership framework. So, I mean, again, don't cast stones in glass houses if you haven't done all of your research. I agree with this person. The U.S. Senate and the Supreme Court are completely worthless. Absolutely. And here's someone corrected my math. That was great. Thank you. This person, it cracked me up. It's like we're living in that movie Idiocracy. And what's funny about that is I just watched it again, rewatched it for like the 40th time a few days ago. And it's every time I watch it, I see something else. I'm like, oh my God, it's so true. We are living in Idiocracy because it was a documentary, not a movie for entertainment. Okay, here's one for you. Damn, they really hid this video. I saved it on my wall later folder and it doesn't show up. It says that some videos are hidden. Shaking my head. I had to type out your whole channel name and find it that way. You know you were doing something right if they try that hard to hide your content. Keep spreading the truth. Thank you. And I'd like to say thank you for noticing that and acknowledging that. You know, I'll tell you guys the truth. If it wasn't for you, the great audience, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke, I'm telling you the truth. If it wasn't for you guys, I would have stopped doing this a long time ago because it's the interaction, the engagement that keeps me going. I'm certainly not getting rich doing this stuff. There's a lot of other things that I could be doing with my time that would be a lot more advantageous for my pocketbook and my bank account. But I choose to do this for a couple of reasons. For one, I think I have a patriotic duty to do this, even though I never swore an oath to the Constitution, any of that sort of stuff, but I'm embedded with that as a liberty-loving patriot. I want to uphold and defend our founding documents and principles. And if that makes me bad, then so be it. I'll be labeled bad and I'll be put in your little naughty list or whatever. And if you think about what they actually do and how asinine it is, it really is. It's like, you're putting the dunce hat on little Johnny and making him sit in the corner or something. I mean, it's so it's so incredible that I'm having a hard time finding the words to express how much it pisses me off what they're doing and also how idiotic it is. So let's read the next comment. The LNG export stoppage hurts and affects a lot more Texans, including my family. I'm more pissed about that than the border. And I totally agree. I replied back to the guy. Let me just see what I said here. I feel the same way. I'm in the oil field or what's left of it. So I get where you're coming from. This guy FJB has the reverse Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to shite. And it's a true story. You can't fuck shit up this badly unless you're trying to do it. So it's got to be without a shadow of a doubt for everybody out there that has eyes to see and ears to hear that Biden is a Manchurian candidate hell-bent on the destruction of the United States of America. Period. Come in there, liberal, and argue and debate with me one thing that Biden has done good for this country that hasn't turned to shit. Oh man, this was a big one. This person, I want to thank you. I'm not saying names intentionally because I don't have permission to say people's names, and I just don't know if that's appropriate or whatever. But this person, this commenter, really made me happy how knowledgeable they were about their own local area. And this is how you fight this crap. You got to know about it, first of all. The UN supplies the elementary school reading curriculum in my county in South Carolina. The main concept taught is the UN Declaration of Human Rights, the UN version of the Constitution. The children spent months reading a heartbreaking novel about an immigrant family. Then they study about how the Declaration of Human Rights would prevent such a sad situation. So, good job, parent. I'm assuming you're a parent because I used to pay a lot more attention to that kind of stuff when I had a child that was attending public school. And you're right, the UN and people like that, organizations like that, that don't have the best interest of your children at mind, are writing the curriculums. That's kind of a big deal. And if you're a parent, I highly recommend doing whatever you have to do, even if that means taking a hit on your income. Homeschool your kids. They're more important than any money or any pile of whatever toys you want to have. They're more important than any of that stuff. Put off having all that great stuff for a while you homeschool your kids. And maybe, just maybe, things will be okay. But if you put them through this public communist indoctrination system, they're going to come out perfectly good little commies. And then you're going to be like, why do they hate the family? Why do they hate religion? Why do they hate capitalism? It's because you allowed them to be brainwashed by these commies. This was a funny one. I love how Trump asked for $5 billion to do the wall. It got shot down. And recently, New York asked for $10 billion to feed and house illegals. Unreal. And this person is absolutely correct. It is unreal to most, thinking, logical Americans. Unless you're trying to destroy the country, destroy the dollar, destroy everything that we stand for, then it is unreal. This was a good one too, and I tend to agree with this. Most of my friends and coworkers I have met in the last 30 years that have legally come to America and have become citizens are more patriotic and appreciative of our country than the people I know and grew up with. Most can quote the Constitution and understand the Bill of Rights better too. I mean, that tells you something right there. The people that come here and want to come here and assimilate, in a lot of cases, are better patriots than natural-born citizens. It's unreal. This person said something, I don't totally agree with it. They say, this time it's not communism they're going for. It's a lot worse. It's the beast system of the Bible. Now, I do agree with the last part. It is the beast system of the Bible. But I replied, communism is what's going to get them there. They're using communism to get them to the beast system. Good morning. All of this is a setup to the Texas border. If two people start to fight, it'll be blamed on Trump, and they're right about that. Biden is hurting the American people even more, shutting down the natural gas. But I digress. MSM is going to scream insurrection, and they're absolutely right. In fact, I told my wife last week, after Trump called out the National Guard to show up of those 25 states, Trump said, hey, bring your National Guards down there to Texas. I argued they were going to call that a form of insurrection and try to use that to further disqualify him from the 2024 election. I mean, the only people that do that disqualify the number one ranking candidate that's in the opposition party, the only group of people that do that, the types of people that do that, are communists. It's well known. Where was that? I'm drawing a blank right now, but some South American country. I don't remember where it is. It's on the tip of my brain, but I can't remember it. One of the South American countries, basically they're blocking their political opposition from being able to run for office. It's exactly what's going on here in the United States of America. So this next comment says, the governor of Texas is a member of the WEF, and I don't know why you shadow ban my main channel, but I want you to know that I'm aware of it. For one thing, let me tell you something. I don't know how, or if it's even possible to shadow ban a commenter or your main channel. I don't even know who you are. So I have no idea what in the hell you're talking about. But if you think that I've done something to you to shadow ban you or to hide your comments or something like that, you've got another thing coming. Now, one thing that YouTube will do, not me, YouTube will take certain things. If you say too many cuss words or certain kinds of cuss words, or if you attack the certain group of people with small hats that you're not allowed to talk about, then YouTube will take that comment and they'll put it in the, I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically hidden comments. It says, when I go in there, I have to look for these other comments, and sometimes I don't get to them very quickly, you know, because if a bunch of comments are coming in, then I can't see the ones that YouTube has flagged. I guess let's call it that. YouTube will flag these comments, and they'll put them over in this other category where they're not public, but I have to go in there and look at those flagged comments and make sure they're okay and appropriate or whatever. I usually turn them all on because I'm like, hey, if you want to incriminate yourself or say things that are going to get you in trouble in the future, you're a big boy, put your big boy pants on and take responsibility for your words and your actions and stuff like that. So I am not the kind of guy that blocks people that disagree with me. In fact, I typically go in and argue with them. That's the kind of person I am. So, oh, listen to this. This is that same person that was trying to tell me earlier that I didn't know what I was talking about the New World Order and the WEF and the UN connection. He says, they are not illegal aliens. You guys open the door wide open. You get desperate people looking for wealth and food since the US dollar destroyed the economy of the world. No periods. That was all one sentence. And I replied, Biden opened the door, not us guys. Globalism and communism is destroying the US dollar. I mean, you just can't make this stuff. Some people are just, I'm sorry, but dumber than a bag of hammers. And you can tell them, you can show them, you can point to all the connections, and they still won't be able to make them. So people like that, in my opinion, are hopeless. You know, again, when I look at a sentence like that, that's constructed that way with no punctuation at all. I get it. It's a comment section, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but, you know, with no punctuation at all, it's one giant long run-on sentence. I'm just like, come on, man. This is either, you know, a person that English is not their first language, or it's a kid trying to, you know, troll me or whatever. So I'm not gonna be, you know, I'm not gonna try to engage that person very much, because I don't think there's anything to be gained intellectually from either side. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to make a quick video and tell you guys I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate your support. You're the very reason that I keep producing videos and content like this, because it's not good. It's not advantageous for my channel for me to talk about anything that's even remotely controversial, but I can't help it. I can't help myself. I'm drawn to controversial events, especially when when there's so little sand left in the hourglass. I mean, I think we all feel it. We're running out of time rapidly. So my best advice I can give you is pay attention to everything. Don't believe anything. What was the old saying? Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. And that's probably a pretty good way to look at the MSM News network. Believe none of it. It's all lies, and it's been proven to be all lies, at least over the past 30 or 40 years. I don't know how far back you'd have to go to find actual good journalists in the United States of America, especially on the MSM. I'm not saying good journalism doesn't exist at all, but it's rare. Rarer than hen's teeth. So guys, hit me up in the comments. We'll continue this discussion. Let me know what you're thinking about all this. Let me know. I mean, do you think Abbott is a globalist WEF member and he's just pulling the wool on everybody's eyes just to do some sort of a sucker punch at the last minute? I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate you tuning in. As always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.